Hey everybody. Well, we are on a 6-minute delay, but just as I thought, had a little audio issues. So we're going to record this instead of going live, and I will post in the event after our presentation today. So good morning, happy Friday Eve. So the 19 things they don't teach you in real estate school. All right, so where do we start? How about, this is not HGTV. And I joke about that all the time in a lot of presentations. And I think that's where the public gets their information, of course. And then again, I think some realtors do as well. And I'll be honest with you, I have some friends here, I'm in the Jacksonville area, who have been on those HGTV shows where, you know, they're working with a buyer and they look at 3 homes and the buyers get excited. They discuss it for a few minutes on a park bench and bada bing, they choose one. And the seller accepts the first offer and life is amazing. Well, we know in real life that's not how it works. So real estate is a process, by the way. It's not a snap event. And per our amazing Tony Robbins, you know, one of the amazing coaches and leaders in the world, success leaves clues. So one thing is figure out what somebody else who is successful, what they do, and go model it. In other words, who do you admire? Who's a mentor to you in the real estate industry, whether it's somebody in your area or somebody across the nation? With social media, there's all kinds of ways to connect with people these days. So go seek those people out and mentor them, shadow them. You may have to pay for them to coach you, but figure out what they're doing or how they got to where you want to be. So at this point, you're either newly licensed and you spend a gazillion hours and dollars going through the pre-licensing course, joining the board, learning all the crazy things that you could do to get yourself in an orange jumpsuit, and legally you're told that you're allowed to sell real estate. So what do you do? So one thing before we get started on the 19 things is look at the bottom. Statistics show that 8 out of 10 realtors aren't in the business anymore after the first 2 years. In other words, again, for example, here in the Jacksonville area, we have about 10,000 realtors, literally. So in about 2 years, statistically speaking, 80% of those, their licenses will go inactive or they'll go get a job and they just won't be in the business because of lack of preparation and things that we're going to talk about. So number 1, database. I've got somebody messaging me as well. Let me get to them as we do this. So start with the database. All right, so what is this? Guys, who do you know? So, and I know there's going to be a lot of folks with the excuse that, let me get back to talking to you. With the excuse that, well, I just moved to the area. We moved here for my husband's relocation, so I don't know anybody in the area. I know, like, you know, our 2 next door neighbors and the dog sitter. Well, guys, that's not true. So if somebody will remind me, I will load up a memory jogger of people that you know. And if you did come from out of the area, then go cultivate the people from wherever you came from. If it was from a different city or a different state, that's your database for now, right? And then we'll talk about ways to create a database, a bigger database locally moving forward. But the first thing you want to do, starting in real estate, or even my suggestion is while you're studying for the real estate exam, before you ever go place your license with a brokerage, is start making a list of people that you know. And so database. So have you ever heard the term CRM? And guys, it's morning, so I got my coffee too. So a CRM is a client management system, so a customer relations management base. So that's where you will put in everybody that you meet, their contact information, and you're going to want to put them on what we call a drip campaign so that you can keep in touch with them periodically. So ideally, you want to start day 1. Your database should have at least 200 people, guys, and that's not overwhelming. So outside of the box real quick, think about all your medical professionals, your dentist, your doctor that you see, your physical therapist, your massage therapist, your hairstylist, people that provide services for you that you're spending money with. Well, they go into your database because they best be sending business to you, right? So that's a good place to start. So I'm sure if you really sat down and thought about at least your service providers, even if you're new to the area, you should have 200. So that could be your homework for this weekend. Database should have at least 200. So let's talk about the next question or concern. What if you are already affiliated with a brokerage and they don't provide a CRM system? A lot of brokerages do. Well, there are tons of them out there. I'm just going to throw one. There's many, but one is called LionDesk. And so check into that. Just Google, real estate CRMs. They range in price. And the other piece that we'll talk about later too is I don't want you to start spending a bunch of money on leads and databases and systems. So that's one thing, if you have not joined a brokerage yet, to consider as well, is what are the tools that they're offering? Everybody's always concerned about the split. Well, how much commission am I going to make? Am I getting 50% or am I going to get 90%? So I just want to know, how much money am I putting in my pocket? Well, that's not what real estate's about, guys. That's a piece of it. But it's the systems and the tools to help you maintain business that matter as well when you're interviewing brokerages. So ideally, getting started, you want to keep your budget at zero for marketing and systems. So my recommendation is that you affiliate yourself with a obviously reputable and ethical broker who also provides a CRM system so that you can put in the people that you know. So this database thing, what is this all about? So you're going to want obviously their names, email addresses, cell phone numbers, physical addresses. So why do you need all those pieces? So what you'll want to do on your database campaign is you're going to want to touch these people about 36 times a year. Oh my God, does that mean you have to call them 2.5 times a month? No. So that's what the database is all about, is to create an email drip campaign so that you're going to want to send them perhaps 2 emails a month. One can be a personal newsletter, one can be market statistics, or throughout the month you can provide maybe spring cleaning tips, winterizing your home tips. If there are articles, maybe the tax laws have changed that will affect homeownership in your area. Just things to keep them abreast in relation to real estate. And sometimes it's just fun stuff. Maybe you want to send out an announcement about the cool new restaurant that's opening up downtown. Or for example, one of the cool things we've got going on in the beaches area here in Jacksonville that should open, I think, in about 1.5 years, is they're building a Margaritaville hotel right oceanfront. Coolness. So you're going to want to think of reasons to contact your database that aren't simply where you're begging for business. So you're going to want the emails for the drip campaigns. That's the passive contacts you're going to have. You're going to want their phone numbers, folks. You're going to want to call people. Calling people and know you're not bothering them. That's the other thing we hear all the time is, well, I know they're at work, they're not going to answer their phone. Okay, well, calling honestly is the best way to contact people and stay top of mind. However, in the world of social media, texting is permissible these days, regardless of what some other, big guru is going to tell you, and as well as social media. And frankly, probably 80% of my personal production business comes from Facebook, social media, such as referral groups and private messages. So the point of a daily contact, we recommend at least 10 a day, as long as it's an interaction, not you just handing out your business card, folks. Those go in the trash can, right? It's 2019. So handing out your business card is not a real estate contact. Let's make that clear. So as we're talking about building your database and contacting the people to get your business, it is an interaction about real estate. So you don't just, send somebody a text, hey, I'm in real estate now and I'm in the Jacksonville area. So when are you going to be selling your house? That's not what we do. So another way to keep in touch with people, there's a couple acronyms. One is FROG, one is FORD, and it stands for the same thing, basically. FORD is family, occupation, recreation, or dreams. And the FROG is family, recreation, recreation, occupation, and goals. So basically the same thing. So start by asking about them, and that'll engage a conversation because everybody wants to talk about themselves. And then say, hey, by the way, just wanted to remind you I'm in real estate. So who do you know that might be ready to buy or sell their house in the next 30 days. And that will get you a lead. Okay, well, that's great, guys. You don't just take the name John Smith and say, hey, do you mind calling them or whatnot. Ask permission to contact that person and to use their name as a reference. Go one step further and have the person that you're making the contact with who recommends or refers somebody to you, have them go ahead and set it up. Say, hey, do you mind calling Mr. Smith or texting him to let him know that I'll be calling him in a couple of hours to introduce myself? And that way it's a warm introduction, and it's a referral from somebody that they would trust. So that's the best way to do things as well, is to get business from people that you know. And if you set it up like that, that's a warm lead, because people, at the end of the day, it's not about your logo. It's not about 8,000 posts on social media. It's not about how amazing your website is. And I'm here to tell you, my website has gotten me zero business in the last 2 years. It's just another way to stay top of mind, by the way, guys. What's getting me business is interactions. Because at the end of the day, again, it's not the company you're with. It's not your logo. It's not some cool gimmick that you use. It's relationships. People do business with people they know and trust, bottom line. So, and we'll circle back around to database. Let me see if I can get back into our presentation now. Cross your fingers. Yes, here we are. So let's move on to lead with, well, there's your database. We kind of went into all of that, and anybody that wants to see this presentation, PowerPoint, let me know and I'll be happy to send it over to you. Or what we'll do is we'll probably schedule a one-on-one meeting like this, and we'll go over it some more to help clarify. Oh, and one thing before we move on is over to the right, you see when you're in real estate, you're actually in two businesses, the lead generation business and real estate business. So obviously when we're discussing database, we're talking about your lead generation business. That's where it starts. That's your foundation. You don't have a real estate business until you have the leads. So keep that in mind as well. Then the next thing, revenue. I just mentioned a few minutes ago, we lead with revenue, not expenses. So I've already said, don't go buy those fancy systems, the CRMs, the database. Don't go buy automated emails, social media. People are going to hound you all the time to handle your social media posts. Don't go buy that stuff. It's about the relationships. Get in front of the people, do those hardcore basic phone calls, the contacts, and start creating your real estate business, i.e. your sales and contracts, before you ever worry about spending money. Got it? So then we'll go a little further into that. Everybody says, well, first of all, I hope that you realize you are a small business owner. You're not working for XYZ Realty. You're using that brokerage name to share liability with them, but you're creating your own business. The other misconception I hear all the time is I see people job hop a lot, which I'll fess up, my resume looks like a jigsaw puzzle. However, the misconception is that people think the broker provides you leads. Not the case. The broker provides you some cushion against liability. Hopefully they provide you some systems and training. It is up to you to get the leads, folks. So then let's go over to the myth over on the right. To earn business, you've got to spend money, right? We all hear that. We all hear that all the time. In order to make money, you got to spend money. Not true. Doesn't have to be that way in real estate, other than the basics, your office supplies, some marketing, your yard signs, etc. So leads. So what does it cost you to have leads? Nada. Don't go buy leads, people. Don't bite it. Those leads that you're purchasing online they often are by geographical area or zip code. And so they're not exclusive to you. Maybe they have 5 people in a zip code. And so those leads are getting passed around, and it's whoever gets to the nut first. So don't go buy leads. So what do we mean by the shiny objects over on the left? So with all those things, I just had this conversation or in a feed with another realtor earlier this morning as I was getting ready. He posted this funny picture about the women's bathroom with stuff all over. And I took a picture of mine, and mine was all sparkly shiny. And I said, no. I said, not all of us have dirty bathrooms. For one, I work from home, as you see from the background. So I want my environment to be organized and clean. Otherwise, that dirty bathroom is going to be my shiny object. So I'm going to want to feel compelled, instead of making those calls and contacting people. Oh my gosh, I need to, oh wow, I need to dust. Wow, I'm looking over there under the TV stand, or I know that bathroom is a mess. I really need to handle that before I get back to my calls. Those are the shiny objects, folks. And one of the main shiny objects is social media. Turn your notifications off. We're going to talk about some other pieces later on as to why that's important. The shiny objects are basically the distractions that are getting in your way from running your business on a daily basis. So let's go to, I'm going to share again. Let's get in here. Got a little time delay here. There we go. Lead generation. I said you're in two businesses, guys. Lead generation and the real estate business. So what does this mean? Lead generate for 3 to 4 hours per day. Oh my God. Does that mean you have to make phone calls for 3 hours a day? Are you a telemarketer? No. So what that means is that 3 hours is prepping. So you've got to know your call list, actually making the contacts, and then entering them in that database we've discussed. And then here's the kicker, folks. You're going to want to write follow-up notes to the people that you were, it could be to the people that you were in contact with, just like, hey, thanks for the great conversation this morning. Look forward to talking to you again soon. Could be as simple as that. And a couple of little pieces on that. These aren't thank you notes, guys. We're not thanking everybody every day. They could be, again, just a quick follow-up note. It could be, if you saw on social media that they just got a promotion at work, they just got a new puppy, it could be a quick little note, something like that. And by the way, ideally, you don't want these branded to your company or you. These are blank notes. And if you'll read the 7 levels of communication, they're called power notes, quick little notes. And here's the kicker. In these notes, you don't actually mention real estate. So keep that in mind as well. So your 3 hours encompasses the prep time, the actual calls, putting them in your database, and writing the power notes. That's 3 hours a day. So here's the deal. What if you don't get a lead, or you're brand new in the business, your first month, and you've spent 3 hours doing this in the morning, so you're done by noon? Do you run out and hang out at the beach for the day? No. So if you don't have a lead yet, then you know what? You need to be doing this more than 3 hours a day. You don't have a real estate business until you have created a foundation of business from the lead generation business. So until you have some leads and are working with qualified buyers and sellers, you're in the lead generation business for a while, guys. So that could be a few weeks, could be a few months. And if you've only got 1 or 2 folks that you're working with, then again, your lead generation should be more than 3 hours a day. All right, so I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty as far as contacts. So I would like to challenge every one of you watching this to make 10 folks, 10 real estate conversations a day. Again, text, social media, phone call, whatever, as long as it's an interaction. 10 a day. You need to track it. We'll talk about that later. 10 a day for the rest of the year, and effective today, there are taking out federal holidays and having you work 5-day work weeks, so not including weekends. That means 5 work days a week. We have 143 days remaining of work days. So if you chunk that down to 10 a day, I hope you have your calculator out. This is some tips I learned from a training yesterday. So if the conversion rate, by the way, because you're going to want to know how many people do I really need to contact before somebody gives me a little nugget, a little piece of business. So the general rule in our industry is people that you know, literally know, your friends, your doctor, your banker, your hairstylist. It takes about 20 of those contacts for somebody to go, oh yeah, my neighbor down the street said they're going to be selling their house. So particularly pay attention for those of you new to the area claiming you don't know anybody. The not mets, we'll talk about how to prospect for those. People that you don't know, is going to take about 60. So there's your conversion rate. So if you've got 143 days left times 10 contacts a day, that's 1,430 contacts you're going to make, right? So I'm going to pull out my trusty calculator for you right here. 1430 divided by 10. So, I'm sorry, divided by, I'm going to do by 60, by the people that you don't know. Oh, my phone's going wacky on this. Hang on, guys. That should give you 24 leads, okay? So are you interested in having 24 leads between now and the end of the year? And then you'll take that a step further. Not all of those leads are going to be real. Some of them are going to already have a real estate, friend that they're going to use. Some of them are going to go to contract and are going to fall through. And some of those listings from those 24 that you've just created are going to expire. So maybe your conversion rate is 75%. So let's say you create 24 leads by making 10 phone calls a day. 75%, because 25% will fall out. So that will give you 18 closings between now and the end of the year. Wow, folks, that's not bad money, right? Figure out what your average price point is in your market, in your geographical area. Ours is about 287. So 18 times 287. My phone. 18 times 287. That would be over $5 million in closed production between June and December, guys. So what about those nuggets? So are you catching on right now? So lead generation, folks, 2 to 3 hours a day, maybe more. So then the next thing we're going to do is, we'll just chunk this down for you. I already went through that with you. Moving on. Number 4, guys, are you hanging in there? Find an accountability partner. I know you're not going to sit at home with the TV on in that dirty bathroom and make your calls every day. Nobody's asking you to do it. Nobody's making you come into the office. So that's where you're going to want to find an accountability partner. So some brokerages offer coaches for newer agents. Sometimes the broker takes you under their wing and they are your coach or your mentor. And then of course there's mega agents that have teams, and so they would be your mentor or your coach as well. And then there's folks such as myself who are certified real estate coaches, and we help you put this whole plan in place to help you get those, in our example for this year, those 18 closed sales over the next 7 months. Who wants to close $5 million between now, June 6th, and December 31st? I can help you with that if you don't already have an accountability partner. So that's number 4. Again, so the other piece to the accountability partner, and we talked about this in the first screen with Tony Robbins, is go seek out people who are at the level that you want to be at. So the other thing to think about is you're the average of the top 5 people you associate yourself with. Guys, I want you to think about that. Seriously. So I'm not saying go diss all your friends because they don't make, enough money, but you really need to be purposeful about who you associate yourself with, both in your personal life and your business life. You're going to find as you get into this business that your price point of the homes you sell are going to be based around the people that you know. So if you're hanging out with, for instance, if you're young, that's okay. It could be that you're going to end up with a lot of first-time home buyers based on income level. And that could be, you can also strategically position yourself to be a luxury specialist, boom, from the beginning of your career. And I know agents that have done that. So think about working smarter, not harder, as we always say. And so it's not necessarily about that 5 million. So in the example that we used, it's going to take us 18 transactions at my geographical price point. However, I do have friends who will do that $5 million in sales in 3 transactions over the next 7 months. Wow. So think about how you want to run your business. Next, we have Defining your standards and systems. What in the heck does this mean? So you teach people how to treat you, right? And work-life balance, that's always a struggle, of course, but you're going to need to set your boundaries. And this statistic shows if people move every 7 years, what are you going to do to stay in touch with them? We talked about that database. So the people that you know in your real life, on average, we were saying every 5 to 7 years for a while, and then after that huge recession we went through, people typically move probably about every 10 years now. So take a look at, you can go through your MLS or your tax records for the people that you know. When did they last move? Take a look and see if they now have equity in their home, and maybe you just want to send them a complimentary CMA for their home and their neighborhood to show them the values and get their mind twirling that, hey, maybe it's time to move up now. So things like that. And then it said, we'll go back to the screen. We're talking about be a CEO. So these things were on number 5 that will teach you how to run this as a business and not be haphazard about just running into somebody at Target and who says that they want to sell a house now. So you're going to want to run this as a small business, and you're not going to fall victim. And then teaching people how to treat you. Let's talk about that. So you're going to want to have the urge to respond to every text message, every online lead, and every phone call, and every email the minute it comes in. You feel like you're going to be hostage to your phone and your computer. And I'm telling you right now, don't do it. I'm telling you because I used to do it. A gazillion people out there used to do it. Don't do it. You're going to want to set the standards. So you're going to want to have buyer consultations and set your standards. I did this a couple of days ago with a new buyer. I had her agree to meet with me, first of all. If they will not meet with you in person, what's their real motivation? Are they really ready, willing, and able to purchase a home? If they were willing to meet with you, in your office or a mutually agreeable area, public, by the way, such as a Panera's or a Starbucks or wherever the heck you want to meet. Chick-fil-A, I've met people. So wherever it has Wi-Fi, and you're going to discuss their needs and expectations, guys, and you're going to want to express your needs and expectations out of them. For instance, loyalty. Buyers aren't loyal. And teaching people how to treat you means you're going to communicate your boundaries, your time boundaries. I let people know in the buyer consultations, in my email signature, by the way, have one of those, and my outgoing voicemail on my phone, that if it's after 7 p.m., I will return your call the following business day. Yes, we're in real estate and everybody assumes we work Saturdays and Sundays, but I'm here to tell you I rarely work on the weekends. So you're going to want to set that up and let them know that you're not going to answer. Perfect example, that cool buyer that met with me, the next step is we got her pre-qualified. I set her up in MLS yesterday to get the auto feeds for homes that fit the parameters now. We haven't been out yet. So those auto feeds go out in the middle of the night. Well, I did wake up, drank some water, and noticed that she responded to the auto email freaking like 2 or 3 o'clock this morning. Well, I didn't respond back just because I was awake. That's crazy. So I waited until 8:30 before our presentation here to respond back because I was at work. And so we've already had an exchange during my office hours. And I also made it clear that I will be available on Saturday, but Sundays are my day off. She's totally cool with that. So set your boundaries. Everybody cool? Don't be afraid to do it. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, nobody does this, guys. We're going to create your MVVBP. Any idea what that is? Any idea what MVVBP stands for? So here we go. Your mission, your vision, your values, your beliefs, and your perspective. Wow, guys, you are CEO of a business. Every business has a vision statement, right? An objective. So what is your mission? It's not just to help people get into to fulfill people's dreams by getting them into their home, guys. Come on, think a little deeper than that. So what is your mission? Why are you in real estate? What is your goal? We all want to help others, great. So you got to take it a layer deeper. What is your vision? So how do you see that by you doing real estate and helping people sell and purchase homes, how does that make the world a better place? What's your vision? How is that going to contribute into the world? So what's your value system? So again, you're going to want to work with people that are like-minded, frankly. This isn't about fair housing and discrimination. This is about people with the same value system. Are you going to want to work with that person that can't explain where they got the cash that's under the bed? Probably not. You probably don't want to be involved in something like that. So what is your value system? You have to be able to communicate that so that you attract the right customers or clients, depending on your state agency relationship that you have with the people you work with. What are your beliefs? So again, this isn't about having different religious or political beliefs, but what are your beliefs? And again, your values goes hand in hand about how this can contribute to the world. And what's your perspective on life? So if you don't even know who you are, how are you going to be able to serve others? So I encourage everybody after this webinar to create your MVVBP. That stands for Mission, Vision, Values, Beliefs, and Perspectives. You guys are probably feeling overwhelmed right about now. So to wrap that up, like we said, you have to have clarity, because in order to attract the people that you want to work with, you're going to have to know who you are and communicate it. So next we have social media. Oh my gosh, guys. I know people like, I'm not on Facebook. I don't like it. I don't like to use it. It's a pain in the butt. And I have a love-hate with it, like most of us do. But some things we'll talk about is you've got to communicate your story. So what are you putting out there into social media? And I've got a whole webinar series, a 3-part series on using social media to help with your business. So we can talk about that as well, or I can give you information on that. So social media is vital to real estate business, folks. It just is. I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation that I use social media as how I get about 80% of my business. So you're going to want to have to embrace it. There's obviously a gazillion different platforms. There's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all that jazz. I personally, personal opinion, do what you want, don't feel that Snapchat is relevant to Facebook. I see people doing some goofy stuff with all the filters they have. And I just want you to think about if someone's entrusting, for example, their $250,000 house, which is their biggest investment in their life, and they're entrusting you to sell it to purposeful and professional people, do you really think they're going to want you to advertise their open house with some kind of little bunny filter face? So something to think about. So again, we can't dive too deep into social media in this exercise because we've got a gazillion other topics I want to go over with you today. However, I do teach a 3-part webinar series on social media. We can dive in deep. But one thing, as we're talking about, we just talked about your MVVBP and then telling your story. What image of yourself are you putting out there in social media? Are you the person holding up 2 drinks at the bar on Saturdays? Or are you keeping it clean? My personal Facebook, because I do have past customers, real estate colleagues, etc. on there. I use it. I combine mine for business and personal. My personal rule is I don't pose in a bathing suit. I live at the beach. I'm in a bathing suit at least probably 2 times a week. That's nobody's business. It's not that I'm ashamed. It's just I don't think that people that I work with in a business environment need to see that image of me. That's just a personal thing. It's up to you. Again, drinking. A lot of us do. However, my personal thing is I don't pose with drinks in my hand. I might check in at the nice wine bar and even say I'm at a wine tasting, but I'm not going to be cheering people on from Facebook. So what image are you currently putting out, and do you need to change that ASAP? Social media, vital to your business. Next, we've got be learning based. right? So congratulations, you're here. So this is the first step you're taking. It needs to be action focused. So go to trainings throughout your career. Don't be a professional student. I know folks that will attend every training available that's free, of course. That's the funny thing about us real estate folks is we'll show up for free trainings. We won't invest in it. So they'll go to trainings and trainings and trainings, and 90 days later, they don't have any business. And well, I don't understand. I've learned everything. I know what I need to do. I don't know why I don't have anything going, because they're a perpetual student. So you have to balance that, and we'll talk about how to do that in number 16 coming up. But you want to balance your education and stay abreast of things, because in our industry, folks, the laws change, little rules change, things it's a moving part, right? It's a moving train. So things change all the time. We now have in the world what we call iBuyers. And if you don't know what that is, I suggest that you do some research on that ASAP or sign up for a class. This is the Purple Bricks, the Zillow offers, Redfin's now doing it, Opendoor. So that's a different business model from what we've ever had before. So you're going to want to know the current trends going on in our industry. However, don't be that perpetual student that paralyzes you from getting into action. And then, of course, being a real estate professional doesn't mean that you have to have a college degree, right? So being a top-notch real estate professional has nothing to do with formal education. So these are some things to think about. What I want you to do is make sure that you invest time in your career or throughout your career to continually get education and stay on top of new trends and things going on. So moving on, number 9, we have track your business. Oh boy. So we talked about your CRM and keeping your database, remember, in a system so that you can send them what we call the drip campaigns with the emails. So you're also going to want to know, well, for instance, what if you fell short today and only make 9 phone calls after our training this morning? So then you need to do 11 tomorrow. So do you just check off on a little sheet of paper, or maybe in I do a handwritten journal, your contacts for the day, and with your little lines, you mark out your 5, your 10. No, you need to know who you contacted so you don't contact those same people again next week. So you have to have a system, guys, track. And we talked about, generally speaking, that remember the conversion ratio generally is for every 20 people you know, you'll get a lead. For every 60 that you don't know, you'll get a lead. Well, maybe your conversion rate's different. Maybe for every 8 people you know, because you're just that kind of connector person, that somebody will give you a lead. Maybe you're great you've mastered some skills, perhaps with open houses or for sale by owners, which are the people you don't know, by the way, what we call your not mets, part of those 60. So maybe you've mastered your presentations and your scripting, and instead of 60 people to get to a piece of business, maybe for you it's 42. So how are you going to know how many people it takes you to contact to get a piece of business if you don't have a system? Really? So, and if you have a coach, they likely have a tracking system for you, by the way. That's part of working with a professional coach. Just throwing that out there. So let's go back to this real quick, your conversion rate, if, for instance, the average is 20 of people that you know, maybe yours is 23, so you are a little slower than average, not to worry. Take a look at that. Does that mean that maybe it's a skill-based issue and you haven't mastered your conversations and your listing and buyer presentations? Maybe it's just that simple. So is it a skills-based thing that you need to work on? So that's why you need to track. So number 10, we have treat your business like a business, folks. What do I mean by that? So again, you are CEO of your business. So ideally, this is why you're going to have the systems. You're going to have a daily schedule. You're going to want to follow a routine. You're going to want a time block, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So number 1, would you hire yourself? How are you showing up in your business on a daily basis? So are you hanging out in your workout clothes all day? Sometimes I do because I work from home. Ideally, you'll want to wear your business clothes. Notice I'm wearing a blouse today because I knew we were going to be here together. So how are you showing up in your workday? Are you telling yourself, oh, I'm going to drink a cup of coffee, going to have some breakfast, going to watch the news, make a few phone calls around 10. Oh, I'm going to see if my friend Lisa is available for lunch today. Haven't seen her in a while. Or are you using systems that we've talked about, using a contact management system, your tracking systems? Do you have your day mapped out? And are you showing up in your workday as if you were going to an office? Ideally, maybe 9 to 5. Are you treating your real estate business, whether it's from your dining room table, as we are here, or going into a cubicle at your office, are you treating it as a business? So again, would you hire you if somebody was interviewing for a realtor? Think about that. And next we're moving on to, we've already talked about this a little bit, associate yourself with like-minded people. So we talked about they say that you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? We've talked about looking around at your personal life and who are the folks that you're hanging out with. So who you're in business with matters. So Simon Sinek says, the goal in business is not to do business with those who need what we have, is to do business with those that have the same belief system we have, which is going back to why you want to do your MVVBP. So associate yourself with those that are like-minded, and what I mean again is the same value system that we talked about earlier, the same belief system. So associate yourself with those folks in your brokerage as well as your social life. So don't be around people who are naysayers. You're going to have folks say, oh my God, there's 10,000 realtors here in your local area, so why do you want to jump in on that? I mean, it's just saturated. So what makes you think that you can be successful? So you don't want the negative Nellies in your world. So you're going to have to make some changes and as you get into real estate as to who you associate with, both in business and socially. You're going to want to be with folks who build you up and support you and encourage you and not bring you down. So look at who you're associating with, and do you need to make some changes? And it's going to be a process. And moving on to number 12, we've got, oh gosh, guys, it's the skills. You've got to master the skills. So it's not just sitting in class. So listings, number 1, you've got folks that will love to do listings and takes and work with sellers, and then folks will like to work with buyers, and that's a personal decision for you. If you want to run a successful business that is very well managed by time, you'll want to master listings and focus on listings. The 3 L's of real estate are leads, listings, and leverage. So why listings versus buyers? So let's talk about the difference there. So listings, by the way, are just not as time consuming. It's just that simple. So ideally, you can probably handle about 12 listings on a monthly basis for 8 buyers. So that's a third more business, right? Coffee's getting cold. So ideally, you want to focus on listings. And the other thing to think about, where do you get buyers other than making those phone calls? Listings. Marketing listings is what brings the buyers to you. So for all the listings that you get, you should also get buyer leads from your listings. So it's less time consuming. However, there is an investment in listings. You will have to pay for your marketing and your signs and your lock boxes, etc. So that's one thing to consider. However, listings are, if they're priced right and you have helped the sellers with the condition and you've had a good listing presentation and you've got your scripts down and you know how to handle all the different pieces of a listing, again, the marketing, maybe price adjustments, and how to communicate market trends to them, then listings are easy to handle. And again, they're going to produce the buyer leads. So those of you that want to focus on buyers, that's your business. Remember, you are CEO of your business. Just know that you will spend a lot more time in the real estate business if you focus mostly on buyers. So listings will help you with time management. So moving on to number 13. This goes hand in hand. You're going to want to master your scripts, your objection handlers. So, computer's being funny here. So, scripts, when we talk about scripting, we all roll our eyes, right? Myself included. But what do scripts do for us? Well, they provide self-confidence if you practice it enough. It allows you to ask better questions, because the other thing that especially newer agents fall prey to is you want to talk and talk and talk to prove your value and your knowledge to the person sitting in front of you, the seller at the dining room table, or the buyer that you're meeting at Starbucks. So you talk and you talk and you talk and you talk. So scripting gives you the self-confidence and the skills to handle whatever crazy question they throw your way, and helps you to become a better professional, because ideally you're going to want to ask more questions as opposed to speaking more. So remember, the person asking the questions is the one that has the power in the conversation. So by having the knowledge, by practicing scripts and overcoming the common objections, by working with an accountability partner, again, a coach, or your mentor, or whomever that is that you have sought out, you will be able to handle all these things and be a better professional, because you're going to be a better active listener versus just spewing out information. So then we're moving on to know your local market, guys. So what if you're working with a seller and they ask, well, what's the average days on market in my neighborhood? Well, I don't know. That's not really a good answer, is it? So how are you going to get to know the local market? Well, one thing is you can study the MLS for at least 30 minutes a day. Go pull out different neighborhoods, figure out the square footage, average days on market. You can do this for, again, specific neighborhoods, or here in our market, we have, and it's public information, everybody knows where to find it, even agents, but we have 55-page monthly reports that typically go out around the 15th for the month prior. So the information we have released now is, well, we don't have May's yet because it'll come out on the 15th. So we have April's information out as far as average days on market, average list price to sales price. So that tells you if you'll need to have that conversation with your sellers about price, not reductions, price adjustments, as we say. Tell you how many days on market, the supply. So are you in a seller's market or a buyer's market? So if we've got 3.4 months of inventory in our MLS system, that means that we're in a seller's market because it's under 6 months of inventory. So if nobody else listed a home today and marketed it in MLS, what that 3.4 means, that's the absorption rate, is that in 3.4 months, every home currently listed with a realtor would be sold. So you need to know what these stats mean, where to find them, and how to communicate them on social media, as well as when you're having your buyer consultations and listing presentations. So in order to be an expert in real estate, you have to know the numbers. Real estate is a numbers game, folks. So now we're going to move on to setting goals and creating a plan. So I'd be interested to know how many of you attending today have created a 2019 business plan, and then you chunk it down, as we say, to the monthly activities that you need to do to correlate into that plan, and then the daily activities. So remember, if it's not written down, it's just an idea. So have you created that business plan? And remember, I said early on as well, real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Remember, it's not about HGTV. It's a process. So you've got to have that annual plan so you know what your roadmap is, where you're headed, and then you chunk it down. So guys, as we're having this conversation today, it's June 2019. So there's 7 months left. I attended a training yesterday in regards to reviewing the last 5 months. And do I need to make adjustments on my business goal? The answer is yes. As did many of us admit, we are behind on our goals for the year. We all set production goals, and that can be set by unit number, can be set by, in other words, number of closed transactions. It can be set by the volume. So maybe you just come up with a number, you want to sell 5 million this year, or it can be set by your gross commissions that you want to earn. And any of those is fine, whatever works for you. Again, your business. And I do have a business planning clinic that is a whole separate thing where we can dive deep into this. But that's where you start for your annual plan, and then you need to break it down into what activities are you going to do, not just those phone calls. So what activities are you going to participate in to get the leads? Remember, you're in the lead generation business before you're ever in real estate, so that you have the leads, so that you have that real estate business to get to those 18 closings we talked about. So again, you need to start with a plan and set goals, and it's okay to readjust your goals. That's where your accountability partner comes in. You need to take a look at where things are and do you need to make adjustments. Next, we'll talk about be a time blocking ninja. I think this is something a lot of us struggle with, myself included. I've gotten better at it, I will say. So I don't care if you have a paper calendar, and up until about 2 months ago, I always had that. I have gotten better, much better at using my Google Calendar for everything now, since it syncs everywhere. So time blocking, what does this mean? Again, set aside time for what you're doing right now. Identify the trainings you're going to do each month. Remember, you don't want to be in class perpetually all day. So identify the handful that you will attend. Those go on your calendar. And actually, first of all, the first thing you should put on your calendar, by the way, is your family and your vacation time. So what we always, as a coach, what we always say is family first. So your daughter's dance recital Thursday night, your son's soccer game Saturday morning, family dinner once a week, and date night once a week. You guys hear that? So I definitely want you to commit to family time and personal time with your partner or your spouse or whomever is significant in your life on a weekly basis. So those go on your calendar. Time block. You know that your child's recital is from 7 to 9 Thursday night. Boom. So family stuff first, and then identify the trainings that you want to take. Those go on the calendar because those are non-negotiables, right? You don't set the times, you just have to show up. So if you've got to be in training, you can't be showing houses when you're in the training class. So those go on next. The next thing you're going to want to put in there is your 3-hour time blocks, 5 days a week, for your prospecting. Remember, if you're not lead generating to create leads, you don't have a real estate business. And then the other blocks are for your showing appointments, your follow-up calls. So another side note, lead generation and follow-up calls are 2 different types of calls, so don't cheat. Lead generation is to create new business. If you've already got a pipeline, say of 5 people, those are your follow-up calls that you want to do once a week. That's a separate time block. So how, again, are you running your business as a CEO and you have a blocked out schedule for the month and for the day? Do you know what you're supposed to do from 2 to 4 this afternoon, folks? It's only 9:50 here on a Thursday morning. What are you doing at 2 o'clock? Hopefully your calendar tells you. So then we're going to talk about living in abundance. What in the world does that mean? So we don't want you coming from scarcity. That will be communicated in your relations with your customers. So living in abundance, folks. So mindset is an important piece to real estate and running your own business, and that's where coaching comes in as well. So are you living in faith or fear? This is a wild, wild business, and there's lots of ups and downs. There are disappointments. There are setbacks. So are you letting those things block you mentally and shutting you down, or are you moving past that? Are you stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone and doing things that you don't like to do, such as scripting with a script partner or your accountability coach? Or are you just, well, I don't really want to call too many people. I'm afraid that, they'll think I'm bugging them. So are you living out of fear? Or are you ready to be bold and be confident and do the things that you need to do to be successful at this? And like I said earlier, there's freaking 10,000 agents in my local market. Does that mean that a new agent can't come in and soar? Absolutely not. Because remember, the other statistic I gave you is that in 2 years, 80% of those people out there right now aren't going to be in business. So don't block yourself mentally by thinking, oh my God, well, there's so many realtors out there. There's no way that I can get a piece of my pie. So so living in abundance versus scarcity is about mindset. And that's again where a professional real estate coach can help you develop a positive and abundant mindset as you move forward in your career. So we've talked about this a little bit, but let's go back to creating a vision for your business. Here we go. There we go. So that MVP again. So don't just look in this current year at production. So go back to the big picture. Why are you in real estate? How will being successful in real estate give you the life that you want to get? Because the whole purpose of being in real estate is to fund the perfect life, right? So how do you see your life? You know, they always ask in interviews, how do you see your life 5 years from now? So how will achieving your goals this year, the next year, et cetera, get you to where you want to be in life? So don't think just right now, oh my God, I've got to, you know, I'm going to be late on the car payment that's due next week. So don't get stuck in the here and now. Always be forward focused and thinking ahead. Again, if you're behind on your goals that you created, don't shut down. Those can be readjusted. So keep your eye on the bigger picture, what we call the big why. What is the main reason you're in this? How is your life going to be enhanced if you succeed at your real estate goals? So what is that vision, that big picture thing out there that keeps you going and gets you up out of bed in the morning? And that kind of relates to, last but certainly not least, my friends, what we call the big why. So I already asked you, why are you in real estate? What is your passion? What gets you out of bed and gets you excited every morning? So during those setbacks, you're making those phone calls, and so you called your 10 people today and you didn't get a lead. Does that discourage you so you just run off and play at the beach for the rest of the day? Or do you get up the next day and do your 10 calls again? What about you've got 3 contracts pending and 2 fall through at the last minute? So that's a huge financial setback. Do you go, oh my God, I just can't do this. This real estate thing's too hard. So are you letting adversity get in your way, or do you keep going? Do you have the fortitude and the mental state of the positive strength and mental state of mind to keep going? Does your why make you cry? It needs to be meaningful, guys. So, because if your why isn't big enough, then the how you get there to that perfect life doesn't matter. So other things to think about is, who else will sacrifice if you don't make your goals? So another tool that I have in coaching is the success and the failure letter. So let's say you could do one today. Let's say you want to do those 18 closings between now and December that we talked about earlier, and you communicate that obviously to your family. And then you promise your kids that they're going to go on a Disney cruise in December for holiday break if daddy or mommy closes 18 houses between now and then. So then write a letter to you and your family on, oh my gosh, what a great year you've had. How does that success look? Envision that cruise that you went on with the family and all those pictures you're taking and the giggles from the kids and all those memories that you create. So write that success letter that of the life that you'll have if you commit to those 18 closings or whatever your number is. And then the other piece is your failure letter, the apology letter to yourself and your family if you fall short and maybe you only close 12 homes. So you really do not have that extra income to fund that family cruise. So how do you explain that, most particularly perhaps to your kids, that I'm so sorry, I know I promised you this, but daddy didn't quite get to the goal, so we've got to be careful with money right now because, you know, I didn't make as much as I was intending to make. So how do you apologize to whoever you're responsible for if you don't meet your goals? So your why needs to make you cry, folks. So think about, what is your big why What is a goal that you can have if you accomplish everything you want to over the next 7 months? Communicate that to the important people in your life. Communicate that to your coach. So those are kind of where we end things, guys. So know your big why, create your goals, run it like a business. I hope that I've given you tons of information, of course, this morning. I hope that I've given you a lot to think about. I hope I haven't overwhelmed you. What I would like to offer anyone who is participating is a 30-minute free coaching session. I will provide my contact information once I upload the video. And let's at least create that business plan, if you don't have one, of what you want to do between now and December 31st. And we'll write down like the big goal, and then we'll chunk it down into your daily activities to help you get there and the number of contacts that you need. So thank you all for attending the 19 Things They Don't Teach in Real Estate School. I don't even know if I introduced myself at the beginning, but I'm Christine Williams with Boundless Coaching, and I look forward to seeing your future. Thank you.